I was just gonna go do my own thing, but then I ended up, there's something in me that just stopped, and I sat on the curb and I just started crying, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what, this is just, I don't wanna do this anymore. I'm Amberlina Murray. I'm 33 years old, and I was raised in Port Coquitlam. So I was 9 years old when I started smoking weed, but it quickly, like between 9 and 10, probably 10 or 11 is when I started getting into ecstasy and cocaine and more of the harder drugs. I was fully addicted to crystal meth when I would say 13 is when I was fully addicted to it. I was born with a very sick mother, so I was born addicted already. And then my whole childhood was full of abuse and anger, and my mom being sick and having to watch over her, as well as she lived in the hospital pretty much in nursing homes because she couldn't care for herself.
What happened with Amber's mom and Amber is an absolute tragedy, and no child should have to go through that, and it breaks my heart.
So we didn't have like a good relationship at all. My dad, I was always daddy's little girl, but at the same time there was not much my dad could do because he was so focused on taking care of my mom, like he was her caretaker. I think he was at a point in his life where he just didn't know what to do. His life was so chaotic with this one woman that he didn't even know how to deal with his daughter who was addicted to drugs. As soon as I started smoking weed with friends at a youth center or started doing ecstasy, or the one thing that came to mind was I didn't have to feel anymore. Like those feelings were gone. Like I didn't feel pain, I didn't feel anything. And it was an amazing feeling. Finally, once in my life, I could turn to something that I didn't have to feel. It was when I had kids is when I realized I had a problem. I got clean at 15, 16. I stayed clean. I had I had the two older kids, Savannah and Caden. And then I split up from I left their dad. And all I knew was that little family. Like that meant the world to me. When we split up, I went right back into addiction and left the kids with my dad and their dad. And I didn't get clean until my youngest kid's dad came in the picture. And I only stayed clean because I got pregnant right away. I had no idea how to even get like a month or 2 months. 2 months was probably my longest. And then I just kept relapsing. I was definitely loaded there. And we went to the P&E and I couldn't even handle it for like 2 seconds. I was in the bathroom like the whole time. Like I was a shitty human being, like shitty. Like I was not a nice person unless I wanted something. That was the only time I was nice. And as soon as I got it, you wouldn't see me again. Like I just, totally opposite person than who I am off drugs. And that's just how it is when you want to get clean, it's like, you want to get clean, but your head's like so powerful in that moment when you start detoxing that it's like crippling. And so I talked myself into making a phone call. And when I asked to make a phone call, they said, if you make the phone call, you need to leave right now. And I still decided to make the phone call. And there was no pickup from my dealer. So they kicked me out anyway. The recovery house, a lot of them I got banned from continuing to come back and not staying clean. Not from anything bad I did, but because of not staying clean. Like some places are just like, like you're clearly not getting it, so maybe go to a different place.
She had nobody and she was alone. And I remember everybody coming up to me and saying, hey, don't waste your time. You know what? She's just going to end up doing this, or this. And I can understand where they were coming from, right? Because a lot of people had invested a lot into Amber, and Amber made unhealthy choices, but that's to be expected by somebody that is in addiction, right?
I have overdosed 4 times. The very first time I overdosed, it was actually my kids who found me in the living room, as I was still living with my youngest kid's dad at the time. And he ended up calling, they started screaming, and then he ended up calling an ambulance and stuff. And then I went code blue in the ambulance. I was able to make it through, thankfully, but yeah, that was probably like my lowest. There's something in me that just stopped, and I sat on the curb and I just started crying, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, what? This is just, I don't want to do this anymore. I remember being in like recovery for like in a recovery house for like the 6th time, and I had a weekend, or not a weekend, but my youngest kid's dad brought them all to me to have like an hour visit. And I remember like that so clearly, that they were leaving, and this is after about 6 months and not seeing them at all, because I was in addiction, and then the recovery house I was in, you can't see anyone for a month. So he came and brought them, and when they were leaving, all 3 of them were like screaming and crying and like would not let go of me at all. Where the staff at the house had to come out and pry them off me, and I like cried for days.
I just didn't want to let go, and I wanted to stay with her, and I just wanted her to come back home with us. I just felt really sad because I didn't understand why my mom couldn't come see us and why we always had to come see her.
It's heartbreaking. It's like, I'm doing this, by not putting the work into me. And continuing to use, I'm causing so much trauma in my kids that I grew up with. And I mean, they're floating around house to house like there's no stability at all. So, and no one's gonna love them the way that I love them. Because of my chronic relapsing, to help me stay in the houses, of writing what the kids would say to me. I love you, Mommy, and I want you to stay there and get the help you need, so when you come home, we can laugh and have fun again together. Like, addiction took everything from me, like my ability to be a mom, my ability to know how to even love on my kids. Like, I didn't know how to hug my kids anymore. Like, that natural mom instincts were gone. Like, I had to relearn all that through my recovery. It took me a long time to even talk about my mom, like before I got clean this time, but I knew if I wanted to stay clean this time, I had to talk about her. So like prior to this, like I just hated her. Like I thought she ruined my whole life. Because I knew like deep down that if I didn't have a mom like that, I probably would have had a better chance in life. Yeah, myself and one other woman in this. I did feel like the kids deserved to know why they went through what they did. And also deserve to know and also sharing my experience with them maybe help them for their future. And if my parents shared with me their experience, I would have known what a Narcotics Anonymous was. I would have known what Alcoholics Anonymous was. I would have known where to go to get help. I think it's amazing that Amber is like super honest with them and super transparent. And but I also think that Amber does that because she wants to make sure that they understand that, this is what happens and these are the consequences.
You're going out with Auntie Sunday morning.
What day am I? She understands what she put us through, and I feel like she tries to make up for it all the time. But like now, there's nothing really to make up for anymore.
So this is something I keep, and it's like all my medallions over the years that I've gotten. And so every year that you stay clean, you have a cake at the meetings to celebrate like another year, and also to show the newcomer that it works.
Today when I look at her, I'm just like, it's hard to believe that you're that same blonde girl that was sitting on the steps asking me for a lighter 10 years ago, right? Like I'm blown away by it.
It doesn't matter how many times we give up on ourselves, or even how many times others give up on us. It'll still be that one day that you try that you're going to do it. It's just a matter of continuing to get up and not staying down. And I think that's the one thing, like I tell most people, is especially after they relapse, is it doesn't matter. Like, you're alive, so keep getting up. Like, as long as you're alive, just keep getting up and keep trying. because you will be able to do it one day. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and there's a testament that if you believe that you cannot change, just look at Amber, right? And there's living proof that you can.